Okay, week 5. We are almost done here. So this week we're going to be moving on to continuing with wire, working with wire, specifically kind of diving into wire wrapping an object. And that's our 5th project, and then we'll have one more after that, which is a final project. And I am going to go over that at the end of this video. So make sure you watch till the end so you can kind of get the rundown on that. But yeah, here's our calendar. 2 more projects left. We're in the home stretch. I didn't update you Wednesday people yet, but I will. Okay, so let's talk about project 5. So yeah, we're going to be learning a new technique this week, which is called wire wrapping. It is exactly what it sounds like. You will be wrapping your wire around a found object, but in a nice, like, aesthetically pleasing kind of way. So not just, aggressively and messily, randomly wrapping a wire around it, but creating a specific design with that wire. Essentially a little cage to hold whatever object you want. So your final product, like what you're going to end up with, is kind of up to you. You are welcome to make, whatever final product you want to. I would suggest like a pendant, or if you're not into jewelry, a keychain, something that is going to kind of hang. That's generally the most frequently used kind of process for wire wrapping. But if you want to make something else, you're welcome to do that. Up to you. So, okay, process. For this for this project, you guys are going to find an object that you would like to wire wrap. Generally, this is done with stones. So let me pop over to this YouTube page. I'm actually going to have you guys use her page to find a design you like to kind of walk through, but I'll talk more about that in a second. But you can see generally used are stones. So all of these are fairly cut stones. Something like this, like a cabochon, is a stone with a flat back and a dome top, like a neatly, there we go, cut stone. But it doesn't have to be like a smooth, neat stone if you don't have one. You can wire wrap a coin. You can wire wrap a rough rock that you found in your house. You could, depending on how big of a collector you are, you may have a lot of objects at your disposal, and you may have nothing. So try to find something. Again, it can be like, a friend wants me to wire wrap this tooth fossil thing. It could be a shell, it could be sea glass, it could be something hard though. I couldn't really do an acorn cap or something like that. So find a small hard object to wire wrap. Up to you what it is. Step 2, you're going to research various types of wire wrapping and find a design you'd like to replicate. There are tons of, the basic process of wire wrapping is very similar, but depending on what final design you want to make, the step-by-step process is going to be different. So I decided not to make a tutorial video this week, and instead I linked that this woman's YouTube channel right there, and you're welcome to find any other tutorial that you specifically like the design for. So yeah, I wanted you guys to have a chance to make something that you like the way it looked, and instead of me making a million different tutorial videos of a bunch of different designs that exist already. So we're going to be using this resource for you to find whatever style design you like, and then to watch that video, go through the process, and actually make your own version of this, whichever one you choose. Again, you can choose any YouTube video. It does not have to be from this channel. She just has a huge abundance of them, so this is where I've led you guys to start with. A couple notes about this: we're not, again, ideally set up to wire wrap. Like, there are different shapes of wire, there are different gauges or thicknesses of wire. So some of these will be using square wire where we have round wire. Some will be using half round wire. Some will have like this kind of like weaving style, uses a much thinner gauge, skinnier wire. So there are going to be some that are not really doable with our tools and our limited resources. So find one that you can do. I would say that the different shapes of wire are not really a big issue. It's more the gauge, the thickness of wire that will become an issue. So the extreme like weaving wire is not really going to be possible with our 20 gauge. But in the videos where she uses square wire or half round, just use your round in place of that and it will be fine. It'll look slightly different, but not much, honestly. So don't worry too much about different shapes of wire. But the weaving isn't really going to be possible, so just as a heads up. Yep, so you're going to find a video, that tutorial that walks you through a specific design that you like. You're going to make it, and then like our last project, you're going to be submitting photos on Canvas. I want to see the front of your finished object. I would like to see the back of it because almost always they look a little bit different. And if it's something to be worn or used in some way, a keychain, a pendant, earrings, I want to see them being worn or used. So at least 3 images there, I think. And then let's talk briefly about your graded criteria. So one of the, I would say, kind of 2 main categories this week. The first is craftsmanship, so again, how well it's made. I am looking for you to make something that is like somewhat detailed and intricate. And if it is something like this, your final piece should like look similar to it. Like it should be symmetrical if your video that you're looking from is symmetrical. If you're doing one of these with like very swoopy swirls, your swirls should also be like nice and smooth and flowing and not like angled and crisp. Your goal is to make it look professional, right? Like you could buy it in a store. It should look well made. And the reason for wire wrapping is just a way of like setting a stone essentially. So it should be secure within its little frame that you're making. So if you wore it, if you used it as a keychain, your stone is not going to fall out. So that's kind of the other big component, and I won't totally be able to tell from photos, but I should be able to tell well enough how secure your like stone or whatever object you're wrapping is within its frame. And then the second main graded part is just to be creative. So she does have some on here that are very simple. So try to do something slightly more complex, or if you're doing something simple, like maybe do a few of them instead of just doing one. So spend some time and energy in making something that is interesting and is not super simple. Let's see if I can find the photo of one that is like a little bit too easy. Like these ones, you guys can do something a little more interesting than this. These kind of wrapped stones, especially like this one and this one, is just a literal spiral wrapping around your stone. You can do something more interesting than that. So this is your example of something too simple. Do something a little more complex than that. Yep. But just as a reminder, something like this, you're not going to be able to do because of our limited supplies and tools. So kind of have to hit a middle ground there. And if you're not sure if your design is complicated enough, like just send me a link, ask me, and I'll let you know if it's too simple or if you need to like, bump it up a little bit. If you're worried something is too simple, just do but it's the design you really like just do multiples. Okay, so that's our 5th project, and then I wanted to talk about your final project because you have to have an idea for that. Come up with an idea for that this week and submit that as well. Our final project is very open-ended. It's really just a chance for you to explore any of the kind of techniques we've learned in more depth. So if there's something that you wish you had a chance to make, but my projects led you in a different direction, you can go back and explore those the way that you want to. So if you preferred the 3D modeling, you can continue with that and design something new. It shouldn't be something that you've already made, but it can be the same techniques, just a new final object. If you preferred the wire working, you are welcome to continue with that and to kind of dive into that deeper. It's up to you, but it is a culmination of the course. So we are trying to make something that is fairly detailed, more in depth than what we've done before. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's not just another project, it is kind of your final project / exam. So yeah, think through that. If you also, as a side note, if you are thinking of you prefer working with wire, working with your hands, as opposed to the 3D modeling, you can continue to include other materials if you want. So if you really enjoy the wire wrapping in the project 5, you can continue doing that and create a set of jewelry or something like that. But if you wanted to continue that same process but make something different or bigger, you can include, or you can use a different material. If you have other wire, if you don't, a wire coat hanger could work. So you aren't only limited to the wire that you've had before. You can include other objects. So graded criteria, it should be a technique that we've covered in the past, just something that you're exploring in more depth. You are going to be creating a final object of some kind, and that is up to you. But you're either making a 3D model of a final object or a physical, tangible final object. Creativity, it shouldn't be directly copied from the internet. You should be using your creativity. It shouldn't just be another version of a project we've already done. Really kind of dive deep into it. You're making something more intricate, more detailed. A final culmination of the class. Oh, that's what I was talking about, ambition. Not something too easy. It should go beyond the projects we've done before, and spend some time. Submitting is going to be a public link if you're 3D modeling, or photos of your completed project if you're going the wire route. So a couple of ideas. If you're doing 3D modeling, it doesn't have to be jewelry. When we walk through how to get things 3D printed, if that's something you're interested in, you can get things 3D printed in metal, but you can also get them 3D printed in multiple types of plastic and even stone. So if you want to kind of leave the personal object jewelry area and go more into home goods or something like that, you could design a set of coasters with different designs, some kind of signage or something for your house or a friend or someone getting married or something like that. You can do a more so kind of a home approach. You can also kind of go into more of an art approach, or you could make some kind of sculpture, some kind of mobile, a little plant pot, lots of options. If you're going the wire route, you can continue with wire wrapping. If you want to do that, you can make a set a pendant and earrings. You can make rings, but you can also again go a different route. Rather than jewelry, you can make a home object, like a wall hanging or a mobile also, a jewelry holder, pot holder. I'll show you options below. And then you can also go more of the like art route. You could make a sculpture. You can make like a lot of wire projects actually involve kind of like sketching or drawing with wire as if it were a line on paper. So I'll show you some examples. All these 3D printed examples are, none of them are metal, but because they're from my 3D printing class when we actually printed in class. So they're all various types of plastics, but just kind of a range of ideas. And then here are some wire ideas. Again, it can be something functional, like a little pot holder, some kind of wall decoration, like something like that. A mobile, it can be something functional to hang your jewelry from. It could be more sculptural, like this is what I was talking about, a kind of sketch, a drawing with wire. So you can kind of really take any of those avenues or paths. You can do jewelry and eventually have it printed in metal instead of all these are plastic. But really, the plan here is just to make something that you want to make. So be creative, have fun, but make sure it is something that you are spending time on. It's not just like a super fast thing that you just throw together, right? It's your final project. So for this week, you're going to be doing a final project idea and submitting that. Basically just explaining to me what your idea is, so writing it out, an explanation. Enough detail that I can understand what you actually want to do, and then also a photo or sketches that you hand draw of what you'd like to make. So I want to get a good sense of your goal and your plan, what direction you're trying to go, so that I can tell you if it's too simple or if you need to add more detail or anything like that. Just want to make sure you're on the right track for what I'm expecting, because I know it is kind of vague in like my description. So this will help make sure you're on the right track as far as like grade wise. So yep, I think that's it for this week. Next week you guys aren't gonna have a video you have to watch. The only video I think that we're gonna have next week is going to be a description of how walkthrough tutorial of how you can get any of the things that we've made so far 3D printed, if that's something you're interested in, if you want like the actual physical versions of the things that you've 3D modeled. Yeah, but otherwise we're approaching the end, so good luck, have fun, let me know if you have questions.